In times of Corona lockdown, where physical contact is not so possible, the role of media and the importance also of media, it's very important. So our speaker today will speak today on the role of television in public and in public healthcare. So both of the topics are very important in today's time. I just want to give a small note on the speaker, and then will start. So, Mr. Pramod Kumar Jha is a former director, Doordarshan Ranchi, and has been associated with television since more than 3 decades. He also did a professional training at the esteemed Film and Television Institute, Pune. Mr. Jha is currently a guest faculty at Central University Jharkhand and St. Xavier's College, Ranchi. After his post-graduation in English literature, he started working for Akashvani before switching over to Doordarshan in 1990, where he worked till 2017 and retired as Director Doordarshan. In the last 30 years, he has produced scores of documentaries for Doordarshan and interviewed luminaries like Dr. Virendra Kumar Bhattacharya and Dr. Vishwanath Prasad Tiwari, for example. He was a senior producer in the joint production of Prasar Bharati and BBC's anti-leprosy campaign in 1999-2000. His love for literature made him return to literary writing. So Mr. Jha writes regularly in English, Hindi, and Maithili, and has been associated with Sahitya Academy, New Delhi, Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysore, and Vasava Samiti, Bangalore, in various language expert. He has translated a monograph on Rahul Sanskritain from English to Maithili, which was published by Sahitya Akademi, New Delhi. He was one of the translators in Maithili for Vachana, the great poetic works of Vasavacharya, a Kannada saint poet. He was also the co-coordinator of the translation of Vachan project in Angika. Working on numerous scripts of radio and television documentaries belongs to his repertoire. Currently, he's translating a monograph on R.K. Narayan from English to Hindi. So before we start, I would request our Dean, Professor Udinarayan Singh, to just facilitate him and say a few words.
Okay, thank you, Vipul. I hope I'm audible to everybody. Actually, these days, it's very important to understand that we aren't so hopeless as we used to be earlier at the times of catastrophe. Because earlier, whenever there is a devastation, whenever there is a catastrophe, whenever there is a public health scare, we would usually be completely cut off. At the time of war, at the time of serious unrest, would be completely off the air. Whereas today, all the time, 24 into 7, we are all connected through the www, through television networks, through radio networks, through numerous media platforms. And we are very fortunate that Pramod Jha, who has been associated with Radio Network, in fact, he has interviewed some of the best known writers who passed away or who are living today for his radio and television programs. So he's been very closely working with literateurs. And we thought that at the Amity School of Languages, it will be good to have somebody from communication experience to talk about how do we actually go about, how exactly television is to be used for public health system, public health problems. Now, today we see on the one hand, you have elements like the print, which is giving you on a day-to-day basis what's happening vis-a-vis corona crisis. Then on the other hand, we also have CNN and the American networks, various American networks, giving you their inputs from each of these cities which are showing devastating uh, problems vis-a-vis corona. So there are two extremes. So there are small-time people who, with limited funding, with limited number of people coming up and bringing up excellent shows. So whether it is wire or it is the print, or it is some other kind of setup, or there are big time players who, with the large television networks, are also coming up with. So there's a very great competition these days, and the truthfulness of the news, authenticity of the news, and proper advice, getting proper experts for your television program, all these are becoming very important. So the content and the expertise, they are becoming more and more important, and also the language which you will use for the common man to understand. This is also very crucial. I think many of our people are successful only because they're able to use that particular language which everybody understands. So communication, importance of communication becomes very crucial. So let us see what exactly Pramod Jha has to tell us, and then we can keep on writing the QA under the QA session, the questions, so that people can pick up some of those questions at the end of the talk. So welcome, Pramod Jha.
Johar and Namaskar from Jharkhand. I welcome you all, and I will be sharing my experience in the field of television, in which I have worked for 3 decades. Today, at the time of this pandemic, people are glued to the television all around the day, sometimes getting panicky, but definitely they are getting information all the time. This information is sometimes very helpful, but all the time, one fear. So television has been both as a means of advantage and disadvantage. Let me start with the situation of television in India and a bit of its history. To tell you the fact, today, India is having more than 1,000 channels. And in almost all the major languages, programs are done. Doordarshan itself is a telecasting program in more than 24 languages and certain dialects, so around 30 languages are being done. The problem is that most of the channels out of the 1,001, they are entertainment channels or news channels. In the southern Indian languages, most of the channels are entertainment channels. Very few channels are which are really catering to the needs and education of people. I would be going back to the time when television came in India. In fact, with the help of UNESCO, television started in India on 15th of September 1959. Earlier, it was only half an hour program from Delhi. Later on in 65, it started telecasting programs from other kendras also, like Mumbai and Chennai, etc. But as it started with the help of UNESCO, the primary purpose was to educate and inform people. And of course, as you can expect, that agriculture, health was the main factor. For just to change once a week or so, some drama or something will be telecast, but primary stress on agriculture and health sector. Later on, the advancement was there. Up to late 90s, there was no private channel, only one national channel was there. And health used to be a part of it. People in remote Karnataka also would watch the program from Delhi to see what the doctor says. And that used to be taken seriously, because when you see something, then it appeals more to you. Doordarshan from 1982 has spread like anything. Today you have more than 24 regional channels of Doordarshan telecasting 24 hours program. I'm repeatedly telling you about Doordarshan only because Doordarshan used to be the word for television in India. After 1993-94 only, other channels came which used to cater to the private sectors also. And there is a great contribution of television or Doordarshan that way, because there used to be a lot of wrong notions about different disease in India. And there was an impression that if some particular disease, some particular medicine will be taken, then some god and goddesses would be angry. And television has played a big role in really changing that impression. It has shown that how myths and stories about the health and how the goddesses has invoked some curse on somebody and some disease has taken in. All this was, in fact, banished after repeated telecast of programs showing jingles, views of the experts, and sometimes film stars also. Even the religious leaders also helped in really removing those wrong notions. The usual health expectant mothers used to be in very bad condition. There was no idea about their prenatal and postnatal care. There was no idea about the cleanliness of the newborn child and their early few months care to be taken for early few months. This was all because of television. People started seeing it and believing it, that whatever is shown is the real fact. First radio and later on television played an active role in informing and educating common man about the issues. More than 60 sessions of Doordarshan telecast programs in different languages today, and I would be happy that almost in every channel and every station, health program is a must. Local doctors are invited. Those who are having some respect in the area, people believe them, and they explain about their local issues, local problems, local health, contemporary, temporary issues, and people take advice. Of course, there is a continuous advice on Doordarshan specifically that you do not go in for self-medication because that could be dangerous. So always consult your near. It would be interesting to inform you that way back in 1999-92, I got a chance to work as a producer, film and jingles for publicity, an anti-leprosy program sponsored by WHO and co-produced by BBC World Service Trust. A lot of research was done by the researchers and specific areas where leprosy cases were reported. Zeroing on a specific 2 to 3, we also met those sufferers and collected the history of the patient, their activities, their lifestyle, their food habits, their company, etc. Later, on the basis of all those facts, script was developed and it was written by reputed script writers of the time. Jingles were also written in the same way. Films were produced. Now this rough cut of the films were shown in different areas and people's feedback were taken in the chart, and as per the suggestion of the people, accordingly changes were done, and then the final film was finally produced. And this was then shown to the people in different parts of India. It was dubbed in different languages in Asia and shown on different national channels. After the normal telecast of sports and sports almost 3-4 times a day, and films almost twice or thrice a week, all people who saw the programs, they would give their feedback. And their idea about the disease, about the leprosy before the film was, and after they saw the film, that was also recorded. And you would be surprised to know that up to 97% of people accepted that they were enlightened and their leprosy treatment has been removed. It is we deliberately chose in different parts of India, wherever our teams or different teams are working, that we approached and we shot the things near the temples, famous temples in which people have great faith. So people were involved in temples were also propagating the idea of treatment and health consciousness about the leprosy. The whole campaign was an exciting experience, and we realized that how television could be effective. It has a great role, and it is considered one of the most successful programs in the Asian experiment by WHO. The next experience which I'm going to share with you will be even more surprising. The great program Kalyani by Doordarshan. Kalyani was telecast in 17 different languages in 17 stations of India. And this was a program in which Ministry of Health and Family Welfare was a partner. And at the central level, all the health experts in India were part of the whole planning team. some particular disease in some particular area or particular year of test. This whole strategy was planned and circulated to the stations, and with the help of a dedicated team, programs were shot with the help of the experts in that particular area. A quality production was done. I'll be really happy to share with you that Kalyani program has been so much successful. For 8 years, it was running all over India, and it is recorded as one of the most successful health programs. Later on, when it was so successful that on the success stories, on the basis of success stories, the then Deputy Director General of our programs, Usha Bhasin, had compiled the stories, and it was published in the form of a book by National Book Trust. Please show the book. And in which about more than 100 cases of success stories are there, in which people who were suffering from a disease, they followed instructions, consulted the Kalyani doctors, and after that, they were in a much better position and their illness had gone. Further, the specific interesting aspect is that Kalyani, we had another great experience. In Kalyani, people in a specific disease, doctors were sitting inside the studio, and through phone-in program, people were connected. And people used to ask questions to the expert doctors. And after the doctors explained to them, they would be taking care with the help of the local doctors. And was that we used to take our team with our OB van and specific team, specific disease. They used to go in the OB van to remote village. The doctor tell them the problem would be the people, the villagers would come out with their problems, and doctors would solve their problems then and there, and they would advise them about the test and whatever is required. One particular experience really reminds me about the success of the program is that we had been to a village near Patna, a remote village. But we came to know that there has been a lot of problem about the child health care and women. So we went to that particular village. Through villager, we had informed the villagers that on one particular day, lady doctors would be there and you come up for your consultation. You'd be surprised to know that some ladies, not some ladies, some 300-400 ladies were there, and they very confidently ask about their personal problems, lady-related problems, and doctors will solve their problem immediately and advise them whatever to do. And the biggest aspect when the doctors ask them whether they had discussed with the family members about their problem is that many of the ladies said that they had not informed and they had not discussed about their health problems even to the husband or to the mother-in-law or anybody else in the family. Hesitation they had in their own family. But here, Kalyani team was there, and without any hesitation, they were voicing their problem and they were getting relief. And I still remember that the smile and happiness on their faces and confidence they had, and they felt as if their agony has gone. I still remember the expressions of relief. In states like Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, Bengal, where in 10,000 persons don't have availability of a doctor, television has been playing a very big role in giving them help. And another great education spread by television is to avoid self-medication. Traditional herbs to increase immunity has been of great help, but self-medication acts as one of the biggest killers in India. Television can play a role in informing, educating, and warning people about the bad health, about the less of healthcare. In the recent COVID-19 pandemic, this was once again established that television can be used as one of the biggest sources of education and information for people. Of course, here I would like to stress that during the COVID time, different channels had been spreading some very inflated news, or sometimes non-confirmed news, but it is not always safe to believe, and you should always listen to experts. This is one dangerous aspect of television also. But I'm sure that people in India with more than 30 years of experience in television watching, they have matured now, and they can really decide to believe and what to be not. In healthcare facilities, small village doctors are also another great problem. But many times I remember we had discussed with many government of India and WHO officials also, while we were discussing about our literacy program, that even village Jhora Chhap doctors, they are required to be trained at least, so that they do not assign wrong medicines. This is to be popularized, because you will see in those areas where doctors are not available, people will they are nearby doctors or quacks. The village level workers, health workers, nurses, Asha, all these people, they are given importance, and they are also primarily trained. So television is not only film watching, but information is being given in this age, and that has played a great role in improvement of the health in India. I can really tell you that if television wouldn't have been there, India would have not been able to face so many big problems. I remember another incident that in which a particular area was infected with some contagious disease, and the health secretary rushed immediately to television center requesting me to telecast his statement. And within minutes, his program was telecast, his views were telecast. So panicky, they should be careful, treatment is being done, and that it will be okay, and you should not go to that particular area. So television is a very forceful medium, not only in India, but in other parts of the world. But the way it is a means, as I referred in the early of my speech, that more than 1,000 channels there. How many channels are really there who are doing the work, showing a film they not do, or showing in which you don't really show the health consciousness, or you are showing about the food habits. It's a big thing. Doordarshan is really showing how people should be careful, because there is a sense of responsibility also, a role of responsibility also. Yes, now I'm ready for the questions. Thank you.
Pramodji, I have a question. If you can elaborate on a particular project that was very interesting for me in the healthcare area.
Yes.
I have heard about the Jatak Janani project of Government of India, where the remote villages, particularly situated in remote areas of Kerala and in the jungles, where many of the small tribals, the borderline of Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu, particularly in the Nilgiris and the forests, where many of the small tribal communities live. And there, these tribal women apparently got a lot of help from the doctors who were located in a remote area, far away areas, to a project called Jatak Janani. Is there anything like that? You remember?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Yes, sir. In fact, this particular project which I referred about earlier, Kalyani, in different states it is given different names,
Okay.
and many state governments also accepted that. But one thing which I missed, which I want to stress here, is that a language has got a very important role in communicating with the people. So television is being utilized, that you should talk to the local people in local dialects as far as possible. Because if they speak in English or in language which they don't understand, so there is no communication. You don't come to know of the problem. And once you know what the problem is, maybe the whole problem could be solved within a minute. In those areas you referred about Kerala, or Karnataka, they're also in their languages, Kannada and Malayalam, the same experiment was done. And not only language, but the dialects were also used. And invariably, people used to go there. People go with camera, talk to the people, get them connected to doctors, village heads or sometimes village opinion makers. They also play a big role. It's a cohesive decision. Everybody has to cooperate. And in the tribal leaders, those who are much educated but some respect in the rural area, they also persuade their people to consult the doctor and take advice. So this has been very successful. And that's why I referred that one of the most successful projects in which Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has played a big role, and Doordarshan or television has really popularized it.
Yeah, I have another question. This is a question which has come from the stage that I shared with a very senior Doordarshan official and the All India Radio officials recently in February this year, when I heard that radio network is using 176 languages now. 176 dialects, call them dialects, call them languages, but 176. And you yourself said that Doordarshan or the radio television network is also using more than 30. Now, is there a policy of Government of India about how to use these languages? How do they access the experts? Because it's a very difficult thing, to run a program with local languages.
I'll tell you, sir. In fact, Akashvani is an old institution. It's about in 1936 only it started in India. So it has got today now more than 200 stations in remote places. And all those remote places, local dialects are used for broadcast. Television has not been able to be established in all those places. So state capitals are having usually some smaller places also there, but usually it is the state capital. They try to cater to the languages of India, like in Bihar, they used sometimes Magahi, Maithili, and Bhojpuri also, but primarily the language is Hindi. In Karnataka, it is Kannada completely. In Malayalam, it is completely, in Trivandrum, it is Malayalam. But if you go to Northeast, a new channel was introduced recently by Doordarshan, Northeast channel, Arunodaya, in which so many languages and dialects of Northeast are covered. In health program, as I referred, into television also it is tried that all the languages are involved so that people in the remote areas get benefited. You referred about Akashvani. Akashvani is even otherwise broadcasting more than something around 200 languages and dialects. Khasi, Garo, all those dialects are being used in Northeast, and stations from Arunachal, then Tura, local dialects are used. And you'll be surprised to know that people, officials who do not understand their languages, for keeping a record of that, some local opinion makers are given the monitoring responsibility to listen to the program and then inform the station head about the broadcast content and quality of the item. So people's participation is in a big way. They monthly or quarterly come and report about the content and quality of the program. So there also the health issues which is advised has been of great help.
Okay, I have just one last question. After that, I think people can.
Please.
You said 1,000 channels now, but in addition to these 1,000 channels, we have a system of podcasting these days on YouTube, which means that extremely large number of people on their own private interest are really talking to experts, health specialists, scientists, people who are marketing the medicines, so many kinds of people, and then those programs are also being podcast on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
So, is there a way of ensuring from the government side that wrong things are not really brought into YouTube? because this is a very dangerous. It can become very dangerous.
It can be, but this is for the government to decide. I know about the Ministry of Information Broadcasting's policy that they have a monitoring cell in Delhi in which all the programs telecast from any station in India, in the private channels or external channels, that is being monitored, and a report is prepared whether it is good or bad for the people and for the country. But as far as YouTube is concerned, I do not think not only about programming and health, but even otherwise, so many negative things are being shown on YouTube. And I'm sure that government must be seriously thinking to control it. You will agree that so many medicines are, so many products are being sold in the name of medicine on YouTube and other channels, which is very dangerous for the health. Steroids are being mixed in so many things, and it's very popularly being sold. Always say that no, this is very bad, there should be control, but till now I don't think there has been any official control over that.
Okay, we pull over to you.
So as now we have one question from our attendees. The question is from Arimardhan. The question is, what is the alternative model of TRP in DD India?
Well, let me tell you that this TRP is another big hoax, because there are so many companies, you know, they give different names, alag-alag naam dete hain wo, and the main purpose is to show that particular channel is so popular. But the most dangerous aspect is that TRP is decided on the basis of recording opinion of some 1,000 people in a city where population is not less than 10 lakhs. So 10 lakhs population is not having in so many cities of India, and out of which a couple of 100 houses are given that particular small machine to record the, which on that basis TRP decided. And that is why Doordarshan, which covers about 80% of India, if not more, that always being shown as a not so popular channel. TRP is low, and some other crime channel or something shows its TRP is very high, because it is recorded only in big cities where you have all the channels available and people go in for entertainment. They are much concerned about entertainment and nothing else. So this TRP hoax is this. This is nothing to do with reality. Doordarshan is having its own audience research cell. Doordarshan, Akashvani combined, they send their people along with the formats. Smaller villages are being covered. Boys and girls go there. They do the survey, and on the basis of that, it is compiled and then produced and given to the parliament. Because Doordarshan is a government channel, it has got the accountability. You can't go in for a false publicity. So this is TRP hoax.
I would request other attendees also, if they have any questions, if we have time, so you can post your questions either in chat or Q&A. I have a question, sir, because we have seen Doordarshan since time, and then post liberalization, the trend changed, and then market opened, so a lot of private sector, and then all the channels competed with each other. So in that kind of scenario, and there will be like one perspective, there might be others also who don't agree, but kind of lost its shine of yesteryear Doordarshan, because the viewership also the effects also there. So how do you see the situation with Doordarshan in future?
Well, Mr. Goswami, I'll tell you, with the change of time and lifestyle and likes and dislikes, you will agree that if you ask your child that what he will have in dinner, he will ask you for pizza and burger. He would not like your chapatis. So people are influenced so much by their colors. In a lighter mood, I would tell you that the entertainment channels show you soap operas in which ladies are shown in full ornaments and half-inch makeup when they're going to sleep. The reality. Now tell me, how many ladies you have seen when they are going to sleep, they are having so much of ornaments and so much of thick makeup. It has nothing to do with the reality. I remember when we were doing the project of BBC, so many experts were involved in the production for advice, and throughout the work, Alec Padamsee was involved in the project. So I remember his particular expression. He used to say that something should be looking natural, but it should be stylized natural. That if you have to show a village house, it should not be decorated to the extreme urban look, but it has to look village-wise a bit clean, so that on a screen it looks nice. But nowadays, if you see a village house in a serial, that is shown as a farmhouse cottage. It all depends. You go and you think of a dreamland. We all have so much of suffering in life. We have so much of tension that going away from the realities, thinking less about the day-to-day problem, less about the monthly budget, less about the family issues and health issues, going to the dream world. That is what is there. Yes, it's a saturation point, and there will be time. You will agree that you would not be spending so much of time on television now as you used to spend a couple of years back. Because there was a fascination. Now you spend more time in news and a particular one or two serial which you think, and you even drop some serials in between also, if you find it's not that interesting. So this is a phase you can't control. And as Professor Singh has referred, that with YouTube, good and bad, dirty, everything is available. So how can you control? There has to be an official system to control, not otherwise.
No, there is another way to look at it. I think the issue is, if you look at Air India, for instance, there was a point of time it was run by Tata. There's a point of time it is now being run by government, and now we are talking about privatizing it. So agencies and organizations pass through various phases in life. So one of the important points that Vipul is making is also, supposing tomorrow some government decides that, okay, we will hand over Doordarshan to a private body, to a private channel profit-making body. What kind of changes do you think will happen? To my mind, part of the answer could be that perhaps the wages for the technicians will be much more. So it will be more attractive for many of the cameramen, editing staff, and some of people who are state-of-the-art trained people to return back to Doordarshan also from the private channels, so that the quality of program also becomes very competitive by world standards. So do you think something like that is likely to happen?
There could be, because we have been listening to this. I'll tell you that most of the successful people now in the industry, they have all been part of Doordarshan one time or the other.
Yes, they have all been, yes. True.
I remember the time that many of the big, when they started the first time live telecast, I was also one of the producers. I have interacted with them. I have seen their sincerity. Problem with Doordarshan is that it is the official steel frame. For doing anything new, you have a long chain of system. Long time takes in approval of a small thing. And by the time it's decided, things become obsolete, irrelevant. If you go for the technical purchases, a camera which is purchased, that has to go through global tender and a lot of other things. And it takes 3 years in purchasing a camera, but by that time, 3 to 4 modern advanced techniques have come. So government system is having all these. Then you have system in the appointments of people, efficient people. Earlier, all the efficient people used to join Doordarshan and Akashvani. Let me refer here that right from Akilan to all the eminent writers, Bhagwati Charan Verma, R.C. Prasad Singh, Phanishwanath Renu, they all have been producers for producing program in radio.
Kamleshwar.
Doordarshan producers joined. They all left after facing the problem in steel frame. I would specifically refer a particular name who did not resign. He continued. And unfortunately, a great, great writer did not get a chance to come over before the world. That was Dr. Prafulla Chandra Ojha Mukht. He was a great Hindi poet, a contemporary and a friend of Bachchanji, but he was not in the mainstream because he kept on working for proposing and approving the files in Akashvani Patna. So there has been many cases. As you referred that if it comes private channel, someday it is done. Definitely some better people will. On the other hand, there are certain advantages also that as I can tell you very freely that so many private channels, they are being guided, indirectly dictated by the owners. Doordarshan, it's not much so. Still, there is freedom. Quality of production technically may not be up to date. It may not be so polished, but the content-wise and trust-wise, still Doordarshan is better taken by people.
Also, you will be allowed to enter into many spaces which will be completely closed for the private channels.
Yeah. Yeah, nowadays, in President, the Prime Minister, sir, they channels, the gone are the days earlier, the 15th August and 26th January speeches where I remember the time that other than us, nobody else was permitted to go there. No private channel. Everybody is equal.
So we have one more question, which you have partially answered by Dr. Sudarshan Raja. It says, can you comment on the future of television in general in the age of new media, for example, internet?
You see, this is a very urban question, let me tell you. The reason is that use of new media is only in the metros. In villages, India is still populated by large number of villages, and in the villages, and more than 50 crore people are below poverty line. It's not the answer. First, you educate them, you make them stand on their feet, take care, so that they are able to take care of their family, their children, and then comes the new media. They are not. So new media is not a challenge. Still, television is a hope because nowadays in villages, in the daily wages worker, he goes and buys a television set in 1500 black and white television and takes a small battery where there is no electricity and watches the program, and he is informed about the developments in the country. So this is what is the role of television. It used to be radio. Radio is still popular in villages. People who are grazing their cattle in the fields, they are listening to the radio. They are listening to BBC. You go to villages, and if they get a chance in the evening, and for the entertainment, for watching the film, that black and white television is still, because they can't afford to spend money to go to cinema hall. So for them, television is a very powerful medium. So there is no chance of its really fading in the near future.
Yes. We don't have any other questions. So, sir, I would request first Professor UN Singh to have it, if you want to have a concluding remark, and then we can have a vote of thanks. And then,
yeah, I mean, let me say that we have been very thrilled to hear Pramodji, because it was really, it came from literally horse's mouth, because we don't have the experience of working with the huge channels and huge entities like Doordarshan or radio, so that we can make any comments on that. But fortunately, I have had the good fortune of working with the Deutsche Welle in Germany, and also with American television and radio networks, as well as radio networks of television networks of Bangladesh. And what I've noticed over the years is that there have been tremendous changes that have come in. There was a point of time earlier when a lot of people would think that it is a waste of time to sit before the television. You can watch this any moment, anytime, anywhere. So why spend your time at a dedicated moment? But whenever such crisis such as corona pandemic emerged, I'm more than sure, if you take a statistics, that 90% of people stopped seeing the shouting and screaming on many television channels, which are daily routine in their debate network or their news segment network. From there, they shifted their entire attention to the facts, what exactly is happening every day, every moment, whole world, how things are changing, how people are trying to contain the pandemic. So many of these channels have really taken a back seat, and this is a loss of not only revenue but loss of viewership that is very typical in many places. You notice that there was a point of time when in television we started seeing things like Nukkad Natak. I don't know if anybody among your generation people you remember the Nukkad Natak, the street plays, the small segments, the things which will be very popular in the small localities. That was foregrounded by television at one particular point of time. The short stories that we don't get time to read, the short stories which are printed in books and books are not available in remote areas. And the short stories of Panishwanath Renu or the short stories of Banaful or many of those people, Sharat Chandra, these short stories came up alive on television initial days and they became very popular. So in fact, television has been responsible for popularizing as well as depopularizing many writers, many trends, many singers, many actors, many musicians, etc. etc. Okay, yeah, we know that today we have an online system where if you want, you can look at the Berklee College of Music performance with Shreya Ghoshal, or you can see some performance in the Taiwan, which is being conducted, entire opera being conducted by A.R. Rahman, which is a rare thing. It's not something which the villagers will be able to see. It's the urban dwellers who will be able to see this in the new media. But in general, and then you of course have the Netflix and you have the Amazon Prime. So you have various kinds of documentaries as well as serials which you can choose. You can choose a serial which comes from Korea versus a serial which comes from Japan or from India or from America or from Europe. Uh, Sometimes German serials with, and nowadays the interesting trend is also there are many Tamil serials which will have the Bengali dubbing, and there will be many Odia films which will have the Bengali dubbing. So no, it's very interesting for me to see in Singapore Shah Rukh Khan speaking in Chinese, and it's so popular among the Chinese viewership in Singapore and in Taiwan. So it's interesting thing that the world is changing in a very big way. Both film and television, they are undergoing tremendous amount of change at this point of time, and many talents which were earlier confined only to certain segments. Earlier, where would you find great writers and poets? You find great writers and poets either struggling with the publishers or struggling with the newspapers to take them into their fold, or working in the universities teaching economics or teaching sociology or teaching political science or maybe some science subject, but writing somehow in their own language or in whichever language, whichever way. But these days, you will find that many of these people are actually directly getting involved into television production, filmmaking, and many experimentations, uh, including some of the very new experiments which we have noticed, which I don't know if you've seen that, that is the millennial travelers, that is the travel couples who are actually making enormous amount of money by only visiting remote areas and bringing in the culture and communities of those areas in front of the camera through their narratives, and they are earning huge amount of fortune because of that. I mean, I've been watching with my son a series of Japanese productions of the problem of the foreigners going to Japan and trying to settle down in Japan. What kind of problem they're facing? And there are about 20 serials. You can watch, and they're really interesting and done in a very way. And these are not really expensive to produce because they're most of the time using iPhone cameras and Samsung 10 cameras, and they are coming up with very good editing softwares. So the life is changing enormously, and the challenge for any formal television channel is also great from the private producers, private players in this entire activity. Pramodji is very right that many of these private channels are also at the mercy of their own money givers, those who are producers, as to how exactly a stand is to be taken, what exactly the tilt is to be given to a news, etc., etc. So the balance is quite often missing in communication channels, and it is this balance that we are searching for. So thank you very much,
Pramodji. That interference, why the people who give money have always been there in every part of the world is there. But private channels, it is in a different way. Like in BBC, they cannot broadcast a program which is in any way insulting to or even obliquely having bad reference to the Queen. So they are responsible, they have restrictions. But in India, that day-to-day thing was not there. It has changed.
Yeah. So
anyway, thank you very much.
Any program which is for or against the government, we got any interference. So this is a difference.
Sure. So
thank you very much.
Common man television is still a very important means of knowledge.
Sure.
Thank you.
Balanced. So
it was an opportunity talking to so many people.
It was a great pleasure to here. We learned a lot, and it's also interesting to see how television has been very instrumental shaping the moods and tendencies of the masses throughout the modern history in India. So recent times. Okay. Thank you very much, sir.